Now, earlier we told you that Nigeria's moved 4 places from 154 to 150 out of the 180 countries and territories in the latest ranking of the 2022 Corruption Perceptions Index released by Transparency International. But they say that in spite of that movement, the country maintained its previous score of 24 out of 100 points from 2022. We're now being joined from Abuja studio by the Executive Director of the Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, Mr. Anwar Musa Rafsanjani. Mr. Rafsanjani, thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much.
Some good news just before the elections, isn't it?
Hopefully.
Well, let's look at, because I asked that question because we're on 150, now we're on 154, now we're on 140, so we're doing better. That's just my summary or inference on that. But let's look at the methodology that is used to deduce all of this and place countries or territories in this rating. How do they rate, how do they assess to bring this position on countries?
Thank you very much. So for Nigeria, what is more important is actually the score. And generally for the Transparency International Corruption Perception Index is the score that is more important. The ranking is important, but the ranking is not independent of how a country is doing well or is not doing well. But it's also a function of how other country decline or will go off. So what is more important for the country to take note is the scoring. Secondly, there are reasons why even the status quo remained and that we did not even become more worse, simply because there are some notable developments within the legal framework in the country that support, for example, democracy. The Electoral Act that was amended was one of the reasons why, this score, or rather this ranking had changed. That's number one. Number two, the government had made effort to ensure that we have a law on proceeds of crime, and management of asset, what before we did not have, and now we have it in place. So hopefully, if there's implementation and compliance on that, we will see better management of recovered asset in Nigeria. Thirdly, we have also noted the efforts of the anti-corruption agencies making a lot of sacrifices, making a lot of good work for the country to get rid of corruption. And equally important, the passage of the Anti-Money Laundering and Prohibition Act is also one of the reasons why we have, if you like, have this improvement, or that we did not really decline further. So these are things which, if government had been listening and taking advices, probably we would have made tremendous improvement in our scoring and ranking. But we are happy as a nation that we are still making effort. The government is making effort to ensure that those lapses are addressed. Now, the reason why we continue to also stagnate are the obvious reason. Corruption in the security sector is one of the major problems that we have. Political corruption is also one of the major reasons why we are also having the challenges. We also have problems of government just waking up to pardon people who have been investigated and actually found guilty. They just pardon them. So all the effort of the anti-corruption agencies and the resources spent went just like that. Also, for the fact that the judiciary continue to be a huge challenge, is also one of the reasons why we are stagnated. The constituency project that ICPC has been actually tracking how some members of the National Assembly and their contractors continue to siphon public taxpayers' money in the name of constituency project is one of the major challenges that we are facing. Also, the subsidy regime, the fraud in the subsidy regime is one of the reasons why we are also stagnated. You also recall some people fraudulently brought in petrol in this country that was contaminated, that many people lost their even means of livelihood. Nobody has investigated that. Now again, the Pandora and Paradise and Panama paper that finger some public official in actually doing wrong also continue to, and nobody investigated that, continue to also stagnate the progress on anti-corruption.
If I may,
so these are some of the reasons why we are stagnated and we do not make the necessary progress.
Mr. Rafsanjani, thank you so much for your thoughts on this. I have a series of questions as follow-up, but we don't have the luxury of time. I want to thank you for coming on the program. Thank you so much for coming on News Across Nigeria. Some other time we're going to discuss this more on the Transparency International or the CPI that's been released. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.